Hello and welcome to Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast. We're back. It's episode 2 now, baby. They say most podcasts don't even last past the first episode. It's episode 2. Oh yeah. So, I'm happy to be joined today by another pair of bright young individuals from UCS Themed Experience MFA program, also part of the inaugural cohort, like David and Jordan from last week. Today, I'm joined by 2 young, beautiful, talented women. First up, we have Alex Marcello. Alex Marcello? Marcello?
Depends on if you want to be American or Italian. Either's fine.
I'm not Italian. Marcello.
It's good.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Elevator pitch.
All right. I'm a visual artist. I have an undergrad bachelor's degree in arts administration. I've been drawing and painting pretty much my whole life. And a few years ago, I found myself in the themed entertainment industry and decided to go back to school and get a master's so I can do cool art for theme parks.
Nailed it. To be honest, I did not prepare you for that. Good answer under pressure.
I'm a professional.
Yes. All right, we also got Sidney Wolf here.
Yes.
Sydney, please do what Alex just did.
All right, elevator pitch. So I have my bachelor's in interior design, born and raised in Orlando, and I kind of decided that I wanted to do something different. You're normally guided to just residential as an interior designer, so I decided I wanted to move a little out, and I decided I wanted to work on theme parks. So that's why I landed here in the master's program.
Awesome. So this is week 3
Yeah.
of the second year of this program. As many of you already know, themed experience, themed entertainment is a brand new form of educational study. UCF is only the second master's type educational formalized program. And it's brand new. This is only the second year. And but we're all excited to be, we have one in-person class together, and we're excited to all meet together and to, interact and work on projects and talk and talk about our ideas. So, this is week 3 for this year, the fun COVID year. And so a question that I get asked a lot from people who are either looking into these type of programs or UCF specifically is, what classes are you taking? And in those classes, what projects are you doing? So I'd like to cover that tonight briefly. So, and feel free to chime in with any commentary you have. My memory of some of these classes isn't even the best. It's only been a year, but it all tends to lump together, especially now. So last year, we started off with research methods for themed entertainment, which is a unique class that our program advisor advocated for, essentially because not only is UCF a research-based institution, which essentially it requires these type of programs to have a research-type class, but our program advisor is a big advocate, like myself, for the advancement of academics in terms of themed entertainment. So having a formalized academic conference, having formal academic papers being published to academic journals, that's a big thing that he wants to get done. So I think it was really, really smart of him to have that type of class happen the first semester of this program to get students kind of acclimated with the often stuffy academic environment that comes from that kind of stuff. And obviously themed entertainment is the least thing from stuffy. So the big thing we did there, obviously research was a big part of it, but there was a big research paper project, and we all did an academic style presentation, and you got to pick your own topic, and I don't know, I thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely.
I liked my topic, and people put together good presentations and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time really analyzing what kind of resources are already out there in regards to theme parks in the industry, what kind of magazines, websites, academic articles already exist, and what kind of holes there are in the industry, what kind of research needs to be put out there, since, theme park as a whole are really only like a 50, 60-year industry. That's pretty new in our world. So we spent a lot of time asking those questions, what information is out there and what information needs to be put out there. So what can we study and research to make this industry better?
Exactly. I think the problem with themed entertainment is the resources and the online materials that are available currently. There's a lot of weighting that you have to do in terms of separating fan material from actual like industry vetted type stuff. So that was definitely a huge topic that we talked about a lot in that class, was separating, your news and rumors websites from things that people in the industry look to with acclaim and respect. So that was that class. Interesting to me. Other people might not find it interesting, but I think it's important. So the second class we had that semester was Pcad, which is, what is that acronym? Period Costume Architecture and Design?
Yep, and decor.
And not decor, not design. That's the D.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's essentially, a historical class, looking back at historical costume, historical architecture, which is important because although there's a lot of ideation and new concepts in themed entertainment, a lot of it is looking back at history and drawing from those ideas for new ideas and that kind of stuff. And there wasn't really a huge project in those classes. It was kind of just lectures and learning stuff. But there was some light design work that we did for that one, but nothing too crazy. Drawing from the stuff that we learned about. So also that semester we had a design seminar for theater class. The final project for that one was super open-ended. I think very little limitations were put on us. So I ended up doing, with David from last week, we ended up doing like an immersive theater type installation where we wrote our own 30-minute show and then performed it live. Sydney, what did you guys do?
We did like a projection 3D map kind of deal. Yeah. It was inspired by like Alice in Wonderland. And
right.
Yeah, we just kind of projected it on these boxes. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, open-ended, see?
Yeah, very open-ended.
Big spectrum. And Alex did...
So my group, our final project wasn't that great in that class, to be honest. But the second project we did in that class was where we read a play,
right,
and then reinterpreted that play into a theme park experience. So I got a lot more out of that project in that class. But so like I took the play and kind of found a different point of view from it, like from a specific character, and adapted it into a dark ride. And my final like deliverable for that project was I did a storyboard with a narrative. So like that one was kind of open-ended too. We were able to adapt the play to any kind of experience we wanted and present it however we wanted. So could have been a storyboard, could have been a floor plan, could have been, a model, whatever. So that class gave us a lot of freedom to really explore, and it was cool.
Yeah, and I think people look at this program and see the word theater, and that kind of puts them off sometimes. So it was nice to have an instructor that, was down to play along with some of the theme entertainment heavy stuff that we were interested in, and just kind of let us run with it and do whatever we want from the constraints of the assignment. So that was cool. That semester we finished up with Themed Experience Seminar, which was just kind of an overview type class about themed experience and the history of themed experience and types of themed experience. We all got to give little lectures on an assigned topic, so that was cool, learning some new stuff there. And then our big semester project was the Walt Disney Imaginations Design Contest.
Yes.
So we split up into teams. I think it was 3 teams?
Four
teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we split up into 4 teams, and we all kind of submitted for that contest, which unfortunately is not being offered this year. Mm-hmm. But hopefully next year, once the new group starts, that'll be back up online, and that can be your final project again. What else did we do? We did some like smaller design aside from the lecture. We did like
we had to do a sacred space.
Right.
So we had to like redesign some kind of spiritual or religious space with non-traditional like visuals and symbols and stuff.
Right. And I assume that that's not like set in stone, the other kind of project for that class. That could change. But it was an interesting project. And I think it was definitely probably the hardest design challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a good exercise for creative thinking and getting away from like, you know, the first thing you think of, you know.
And it was like right off the bat too.
Yeah.
Like one of the first classes we took, it's like, oh, you have to design this thing.
Yeah.
You cannot use any of like anything you know about this. You have to immediately throw it away. You have to think of something else. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, people had some really creative workarounds for that and came up with some like actually really cool concepts. So that was our first semester. That's all 4 classes. So
Yeah.
then we moved into our second semester. And then our big class that we were all in together was what is it called? Small studio.
Yeah.
And that the scope of that was anything from, so Alex did a food cart.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney did a flower mobile
Mm-hmm.
truck.
Yep.
And then I did a immersive theme park game. So anything kind of, I don't remember what like the actual constraint was.
It had to be a themed experience where the guest experience was anywhere from like 5 to 30 minutes.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
which made it, you know, a small project.
Right. And the thing that we'll get into here in a minute is these classes are set up in a kind of upscaling way. So you start small, you go medium, big, biggest. But we'll talk about that in a second. The other class we had that semester was visualizing themed experience, which
Themed environments.
Themed
Visualizing themed environments.
It's just all the the verbiage and the wordage, and it's so funny too because the consensus on is it called themed entertainment or is it called themed experience is up in the air. I use it interchangeably, even though this program is called themed experience, but I'm like doing work in themed entertainment, like whatever. It's the same to me. There's a larger argument to be had about which one is more comprehensive, but we don't have to hash that out here. So visualizing themed environments, which I think is the closest we'll get to a hard art class that you would get at a more private trade art kind of institution, like a Pcad. I think that's the closest we'll get to that. Literally, we picked a software, Maya, and you just did projects in Maya. And it was 3. We had 3 projects.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like 5, and we all came in with like little to no 3D modeling experience. So our program director quickly was like, "All right, we're gonna knock this back a little bit."
Yeah.
But we managed to do 3 really solid projects, and we were able to spend more time and get them, you know, really detailed and have nice portfolio pieces at the end of it.
Right. But definitely the closest thing to like a studio class.
Yeah.
That I think we will get at all. I don't think that our future classes are going to reach that point either.
Yeah, because most of the classes aren't set up to teach you a software.
Right.
So.
Or like a very specific skill.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them are more project-based. Like you come in and bring your skill set to it and then create a final product. This was like, we're going to learn Maya and you're going to do really difficult projects, but you're going to come out you're going to come out the other end with some really cool pieces and a skill that not a lot of other people have.
Mm-hmm. So the final thing that we had last semester, and this is a sad thing to talk about, there was we had a theater practicum. And a practicum typically, from my understanding, is you go help out building scenery and sets for the whatever fall, spring musical that the school is putting on. But the head of the School of Performing Arts had a great idea, I guess with our program director, to do some sort of immersive experience in the lobby of the spring musical, which was Urinetown here at UCF. So we had all these grand plans we were going to do like video content, and there was a photo op. I was doing video content. Alex, you were doing the photo op stuff?
Yeah, I was like working on the design and fabrication of the photo op.
Sydney, what were you doing?
I was helping her with
You're
that.
on
I was
that-
helping, pull all the furniture and
that
what we
same
were
little
looking
team.
at. Yeah.
You were working on graphics too.
Yeah, I
we
was
were
also working on the graphics.
Yeah. So just as that was starting to get ramped up, like literally, like the video team and I filmed we had our first video in the can, edited whatever. The pandemic hits.
Yeah. Yep.
And that just goes in the trash essentially, which was sad because like we were like so excited about that, and the school was pumped to have like this kind of like new take on like introducing their productions. And I hope that when this class is offered next semester or probably next year, looking at the way things are going, that enthusiasm still exists for this kind of thing, because I think it's such a cool idea.
It was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely going to take that typical theater performance to the next level and like really make it immersive more than just sitting in the theater watching the show. From the moment you walked in the lobby, you were going to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were even going to have some of the actors out there from the play interacting with people when they came in. And it was going to be really cool. So hopefully it's an idea that can come back and actually get done one of these semesters.
And then maybe we can like sneak into that class and
Yeah.
help run on it or something, because it was such a cool idea. So that brings us to, I'm only hitting like the required courses. We don't need to talk about electives. That brings us to now we're in an immersive experience studio, which we talked about a little bit about on the last episode. So now we're in that medium range. It's a guest space that is designed to entertain for 1 to 4 hours, right? 1 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the things that people are getting at are like FEC type things, like kind of short range. I'm doing sports type experience. You guys are undecided still?
I'm thinking like a retail entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the FEC, the
FEC.
Family Entertainment Center with a specific video game IP.
Right.
So, yeah, I think there's a good mix of ideas in the class right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like the small cap project. Small
project
studio.
studio.
I don't know. I keep calling it. I think somebody said small cap. Like, I don't know. That's just like a weird term that I picked up from probably our instructor.
We're creatives. We make stuff up here, right?
Exactly.
Small cap. So our other class that is specific to this program is, what is this called? Storytelling as a theatrical art form. This is a deep dive into like the funny way that university classes are named.
Yeah.
It's like this program especially, like we got some
It's really hard to tell what
some
the classes
ringers.
are going to be before you're in the program. Like even reading the curriculum as it's listed on the UCF website, you're like, this sounds cool, but I'm not 100% sure what any of these classes are really going to be. And then like first semester we were in classes and I was like, okay, this is really cool. This is what I wanted it to be. But it's really hard to tell just from the class titles.
Yeah. So good thing we're doing this and kind of laying it out a little bit more.
Yeah,
Now you can
sure.
go back and future generations can reference this. So I'm just going to call it storytelling.
Yeah.
It's a highly theatrical class. It's this and one other class was borrowed from just the theater MFA, I think just like the MA theater. I don't even know what it's called.
It overlaps somehow.
Yeah. So this is one of the classes that was borrowed from there. Telling stories, foundational type things.
Like very performance based,
Yeah.
like standing up and telling a story. It's not so much like narrative writing, which is I think what we were all more expecting because that's more what you would do in the theme park industry. But it's still like storytelling as an art form and a chance for us to kind of experience a performative, class when a lot of us don't have that experience. So I think it'll be some good insight and practice.
Yeah. It's all about the story. That's all you hear about is we're a bunch of storytellers. I've been hearing that for so long. So looking into the crystal ball right now to the future, the 2 classes that we have next semester scheduled to be scheduled to be next semester are our final, I think it's called Collaborative Project Studio.
Yeah, I think it's like our small and immersive studio classes, but we're doing a bigger project, like a whole land or something.
Yeah, that's what was
and
said
then
today.
we'll all be working together on it, I guess.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, progressive, small, medium, large, biggest, which is the thesis that I'll talk about in a minute. So we have that, and then we have themed experience careers, which will be interesting because not a lot of careers going on right now.
Yeah.
So
True.
we'll see how that class adapts. But I think the other thing that our program director is big on, aside from making like headway for academic stuff to be established for themed entertainment, is networking. He's legitimately one of the best networkers I've ever met. Somebody, I forget who I was talking to the other day. They're like, he was definitely like checking his phone. I was like, he's making contacts right now. He's like literally texting people, like guest speakers to come to our. He's always like talking to people and making deals and all that kind of stuff.
Always.
It's so funny. And I assume he's teaching that class. I actually don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I don't know
think
who
so.
else here would teach it.
Yeah, exactly. So that class, from my understanding, is, networking centric.
Probably,
And like, these are the players, these are the things that you need to know about getting into the industry, that kind of stuff, which is like so important because, as we all know, they don't tell you that stuff. It's a mystery. It's gate kept.
Yes.
I'm going to try and put it out as much as I can into this podcast and to the resources that I'm offering, but there's a lot. There's like so much to know because themed entertainment is so multidisciplinary. You got to know film stuff. You got to know construction stuff. You got to know theater stuff.
Architecture, engineering.
Yeah.
God,
It's a lot.
It's exhaustive.
Yeah.
It's like genuinely impressive, like for people to have that much knowledge and be successful. But it happens all the time. We're an industry of like just crazy talented, smart people. Yeah. And then after that, we go into the third year. And I think the thing that people get confused about a lot is like it's a 2-year program. Yes, it's 2 years of classes. Third year of supposed to be you take an internship and you work on your big thesis project. And as opposed to a traditional thesis that you would write like a research paper and like defend it to a council, we're doing a design project. And from what it's previously stood at, it could change. It's a whole park or like massive themed entertainment project. And you spend the whole year working on it, which is cool because you're essentially using all the knowledge and the skills that you learned from the past 2 years and then putting that towards this big final project, which is very like you see the progression of your skills and your knowledge, and then it culminates in this big portfolio piece, which I'm really looking forward to. Internships, that could be tough right now. We'll see. I'm sitting here with 2 employed ladies, though. So they're getting that done. But yeah, that's it. That's the gamut of the required coursework for this program. After that, you start taking electives. How many? 8 credit?
Oh, gosh.
8 elective credits? 11? 12?
It's
12.
like 4, I think
Yeah.
like
It's-
4 or 5 classes
Yeah,
of
4
electives.
or 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a couple online exclusive design classes. You could take classes at the hospitality school in their theme park program. There's a couple classes that are being tailored to us. You can essentially do whatever you want. I'm taking a VR class right now, which is like essentially part of the computer science school. So whatever interests you, it's next semester I'm taking a music composition class. Whatever interests you, you can branch out and have that be your niche avenues. That's what college is all about, is finding yourself and exploring new avenues for information and knowledge.
Yeah, the electives are really where you can tailor the degree to what you specifically want to do. So we have pretty diverse backgrounds. Like some of us are visual artists, some of us are writers. So you can take advantage of the freedom you have with the electives to really hone in on the skills that you need most or the experience that you need most for what you want to do in the field.
Yeah, which is cool. And like kind of my driving force for this program is a lot of it is just what you make of it. You can shape projects to suit what you want to do, and most people are pretty supportive of that. So it's what you want to get out of this program. If you're interested in themed experience or themed entertainment, you will get out of it, in my opinion. So that's that. Cool. It's a little perspective to talk about classes we haven't even taken yet, but I think I have a good understanding about it. Like, we've gotten this far. I kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah. I would say, like, overall, it's really intimidating when you first start. Like, we sat down in our first class and were told we were going to do the Disney Imaginations project. Yeah. And, like, my eyes got huge. It's like, we have to design, like, a whole thing? Like, I don't know how to do that. And then, you know, you've got guidance from professors who really know what they're doing. You've got classmates who are talented. You encourage each other. You build off of each other. Sydney and I were in the same group, so we're like nodding at each other this whole time. Like, it ended up being a really fun project, and it really made us all like push the boundaries of our skills and realize, like, okay, we can do this. I've just never tried before. Mm-hmm. And it's like every semester is a little bit more of that. Like you said, it's progressive. The projects get a little bit bigger. And every time at the beginning, it's a little more intimidating. But you look back and you say, okay, I did this one before. I know I can do this one now. And I'm just going to keep getting better. So, it starts out intimidating, and then you come out the other end and you're like, wow, I did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to bounce off that, it was so great working with other people who know other things. Like, that's one of the reasons why I came into this program, is because we have writers, we have, visual artists, and being able to bounce off each other like that was so much fun. It was different, but it was so much fun to do.
Yeah. Very collaborative.
Very.
And, like, thank God that we're all, like, such good friends and we all work so well together, because like the meme of college is like my crappy group project team.
Yeah.
What's the one that's like, I want my group project members to lower my coffin into the ground so they can let me down one last time. That's like the one thing. What I'm trying to say is, if you were in college and you looked at a syllabus and you saw the word group project, your like heart sinks, right? With this program, you see the word group project. It's like, man, I get to work with my friends again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's so much like what the industry really is. Like, it's real world experience. Even though you're in school, that's what every project in this industry is, a huge group project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really the best experience you can get.
Yeah. And like,
thankfully, people are cool in our group, and it's fun.
And like switching, or like, oh, I worked with you last semester, I'm working with you this semester.
Yep.
Like that, like the fun of that alone is something that cannot be undervalued, especially in this program. Yeah. Again, we're so lucky that we all vibe together. It seems rare, but I think if everybody kind of has a similar passion, you just kind of fall in line and become friends and just like work so well together. It's kind of miraculous to me. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, just because Sydney and Alex are here tonight, where these are two people who, there's a narrative that you hear a lot with people that want to get into this industry. It's like, man, I went to Disney when I was 5 years old and I knew immediately this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. These two are people who don't have that story that you hear kind of over and over again, which I think is cool, honestly, because it shows that our industry is growing outside of, you have to be a diehard to participate. It's the more people that you get interested. I think I was saying this earlier, like the more people, the more academic programs, the more students, the more exposure, the more money, like the more projects to work on. It all just, the more people that come, the more the merrier, that kind of stuff. The more the merrier. People from who have no knowledge of the stuff coming in is a good thing to me. It's making it more accessible, essentially. But yeah, so these two have kind of their own stories about how they sort of stumbled into themed entertainment, and I would kind of like to hear that again for the podcast. I feel like I know a little bit of both of y'all's stories in terms of this. Sydney's is kind of funny just because she's, I mean, you'll talk about it. You've lived in Orlando your whole life.
Yeah.
And you have like some like idiosyncrasies about theme parks despite living in it. It's like the thing you'd expect most is like immediately contradicted by Sydney.
Yep.
And Alex, kind of a similar thing. But Sid,
You want me to go first? Okay.
yeah, tell us your story about how you stumbled into this.
How did I
crazy
stumble
thing.
into this crazy world? So I've been working as an interior designer now for almost 6 years. And I kind of realized that I wanted something more, something different. And I wanted to originally go into hotels and restaurants, but I didn't know how. So I just started kind of researching jobs out there, and I realized it was really hard to get into. And the funny story is I've lived in Orlando my entire life, but my first time to Disney was probably a couple years ago. And so when I walked into this room and everyone knew what Disney was, I was very surprised because I had no idea anything. They were talking about the hidden places, and I was like, what does any of this mean? But I stumbled upon the program online, and I saw this really cool rendering on the cover, and I was like, okay, that's exactly what I want to do. And when I looked into it and I realized there was no limitation to applying to this program, you didn't have to have a specific degree in something, and you could do it. So I kind of decided I wanted to apply because I felt like this would be the best place to network and to learn in order to get to where I wanted to be in the themed experience industry.
For sure. Like, yeah. I mean, I'll vouch for it, obviously. We're all biased. I agree. Yeah. No better place. Orlando, UCF, school, program director's good, teachers, students, it's all good. Alex?
Yeah. So I definitely got here in a roundabout way, but I feel like it was always meant to be at the same time. I've been an artist forever. I've been drawing and painting for as long as I can remember. And I've always been into video games. I've always loved theme parks, but I never really thought that was a viable career path. So I went the fine arts route, did my undergrad in studio art, changed my major a few times, flunked out one semester because I decided I'm an artist. I don't need a degree, so I just quit going to school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister called me, made me cry. It was great. Figured out, got back in school, got my undergrad basically in arts administration. During that time, I started painting custom shoes, realized that, there are opportunities for arts jobs out there. You just have to go find them. And once I graduated, I ended up getting a job in my hometown, working for the city in the cultural arts office. So we did things like we ran an art walk. We put art in city spaces, like doing exhibits in City Hall and having receptions, all kinds of event planning and arts-based things. And that was really awesome creative project management experience that I didn't know would be relevant to my future career. So I was there for about 3 years, and then my husband and I decided we wanted to move to Orlando. So I was just looking for jobs in the arts. I applied for a lot of different things, and I found a job in the themed entertainment industry. And I applied for one job that I knew was way out of my league, but I contacted the HR rep who had the post on LinkedIn. I did a LinkedIn premium trial so I could direct message her. I found her, I Googled her and found her work email, emailed her personally, and I wrote this ridiculous cover letter on my resume that made me sound way better than I am. But it got me a phone call. So they called me, they're like, okay, you want to be an art director? And I was like, I want to do anything. I was like, I just want to work here. I want to, do artwork for theme parks, whatever. And they were like, yeah, you'd probably be better as a coordinator, which is, if you don't know, is way beneath art director level. And I was like, cool, fine, I'll do it. So, got an interview, an actual in-person interview on a completely different project than the one they originally called me for. And it worked out. I got hired, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to like the job. I just knew I liked theme parks, I liked doing artwork, and I needed a job. So I hoped it was going to work out, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I was like, where has this been my whole life? Obviously it was here, but I didn't know. And that's such a typical story. It's just so hard to figure out how to get into this industry. So hard that I had no idea it really existed. I had this misconception that like one person designed,
Yeah.
you know, Harry Potter world.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Forgive me. But yeah, so I started working at my job about 3 years ago, and I realized the incredible talent that I was surrounded by, and that if I was more in the project management side of things, which I do also enjoy, but I realized if I wanted to be creating artwork and designing things for theme parks, that I really needed to learn a lot more. And at the time, there were only private schools that had programs for it that were like $80,000, and I didn't want any more student loan debt. And then I found out about this program. It got published and it was out there, and I found out, and I was just like, this is the dream.
Yeah.
Like, UCF's my alma mater. I have my undergrad from here. It's down the street. The theme parks are here. My job is here. Like, the industry experts are here. Like, this is it. And it's not $80,000. So I applied and I got in, and here I am, and it's been a freaking dream.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
It's so weird how many of us have not the same entry story into this program, but like it's all kind of faded entry. Like this program is like a shining like beacon. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
I've been looking for you. Like, I've been walking through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and there it is. Yeah, it's awesome, and it's awesome to hear everybody's little differences and you know, different paths that they took, and we all ended up at the same place. And I couldn't be happier about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, because as I mentioned, we have two powerful, talented, strong women here tonight. I wanted to talk about, and I'll just leave the room for this one. 'Cause I got nothing to add. I wanted to talk about the challenges that come from being a female in this industry, and honestly, not even this industry, the world, and like essentially a professional design environment. Because you guys have both worked in a professional design firm, design studio, that kind of stuff, art-based. The arts industry. What is it like being a woman in the arts industry? That's how I'll frame that question for you.
You want to start?
Sure. So I think my experience, like obviously this is all my experience, but I think there are some niches that women can fall into professionally easier than others, like, you know, administrative assistant or interior design, things like that are just kind of like traditionally feminine roles. And that's great. But I've seen a lot of roles that can be boys clubs. Like, you know, when I started my job and went through the whole like company presentation and they talked about all the executives and stuff, I was like, that's a lot of older white men.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's shake it up a little bit, you know? And I think we're in a really interesting time in history and the development of our world and our country and everything, because it is shifting. It's becoming more of an equal playing field, more gender diverse and everything. And that's really exciting on one hand, and also very enlightening on the other, because, you know, you see the opportunities coming up and you see companies making a conscious effort to not just hire the same people or the same type of people for everything. So one day, these companies, these executives are not all going to be 6 versions of the same person, you know? And that's a really exciting thought. We just have to make sure that that happens someday.
Right.
And so it's exciting to be watching all of this unfold right now and to be a part of it. I've also seen a lot more young women coming in as engineers
Yes.
and leads on projects, like producers and art directors, and being so successful and so powerful, and it's awesome and very encouraging. And then on the flip side, you know, I've also experienced in my other jobs and current jobs sometimes just, you know, sometimes people, they see you're a young female and they just kind of brush you off until you prove yourself.
Yep.
You have to prove your worth first, or earn respect from others around you, rather than, sometimes a guy just comes in and he's respected or assumed good at what he does because he's a part of the boys club. And, right now, that just is what it is. And it's something that if you experience it, you overcome it. And you say, all right, I'm going to prove my worth.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just have to use it as a motivator rather than, getting down on it. And I've personally always been that way. If somebody tells me I can't do something, you watch me go do it. And I'm going to do it better than anybody else did. And that's kind of the attitude you just have to have, And so it's just an interesting place in time that we're in right now as things are shifting. And you just have to choose to be encouraged by it and motivated by it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and to bounce off that, I feel like our generation is really changing everything. I mean, being a female and an interior designer, I work with a lot of construction teams, architects, and I get the same thing. You show up on the job site in heels and a dress. People look at you differently. They assume things, but it's never really the case, and you do feel like you have to prove yourself. And then on the flip side, a lot of people don't care anymore, which is great. It's like you can still walk into a room as a young female and be just as powerful as anyone else. But it is definitely changing, and I'm really excited to see in the themed experience industry less of the, the same guy as the CEO on the companies.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that you guys kind of have like hopeful outlooks for the future. I think our program alone is kind of a good example. Our first year is half and half, 6.
I think so, yeah.
6 men, 6 women.
Yeah.
And the new one is
a lot more.
10
a lot, yeah.
women and 2 men, I think.
No, there's like 17 in the new class. And
There's
that
many people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But it's definitely like at least
Heavily
2/3
women.
female.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of females are inherently creative. Like it's a natural go-to kind of thing for women, but maybe hasn't always been an option. I mean, it's hard to be an artist anyway and figure out what to do, like what type of art you're going to do or where you fit in. But like also being a female and having to be confident in what you do and, headstrong and opinionated and be able to back up your designs and things. Like, I think our generation is finally getting empowered in that way where we're comfortable to go into these difficult professions and figure it out. Whereas before it's like, if you're blazing a path, like you're probably a dude.
Yeah.
Think about it too, like how many years ago, or probably recently, like past 50 years, like a woman getting an advanced degree was like scoffed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now,
definitely.
There's 17 people I didn't even know about that are all in this program. So, shout out to the females. Shout out to them. They're killing it. So that's all I had to talk about today in terms of topics. Guys, it's 10:49 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
It's real late.
So please excuse me for stumbling over my words at times. Anyway, wanted to wrap it up. It's funny because last episode I said, these are the questions that I'm going to ask everybody every episode. I already changed half of them. So I need to stop saying definitive statements like that. I'm going to ask you guys some quick questions. The first question I want to ask you, and this is actually one that Alex came up with, and I'm stealing it, and I'm going to... I was about to say, I'm going to say it to everybody, but I actually might say it to everybody that comes on the show. And I wrote it exactly as you did.
Oh, shoot.
Here we go.
I'm not a writer.
What you wish you knew then that you know... This is a tongue twister. What you wish you knew then that you know now. Alex.
Man, I just wish I knew that there was such a viable arts industry out there. There are so many jobs and so many possibilities. And I just grew up in a small town that's very traditional. And, you're a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, like the very typical disciplines are drilled into your head. And you say you want to be an artist and people are like, oh, but how are you going to make money? What are you going to do? I don't know why they have an accent from Central Florida, but there it is. But yeah, I started, I moved to Orlando, got into this industry and realized like, oh my gosh, like New York, LA, Atlanta, Orlando, like all these artistic jobs are out there. And like there's vendors all over the world.
Yeah.
Like there is so much opportunity out there for creatives of all kinds. And I just wish that lie that there were not opportunities was never drilled in my head when I was younger, because it is a lie. If you are an artist or a creative, there is an opportunity and a job out there for you, and it's awesome. And a lot of it is in Orlando.
Even in themed entertainment alone, just like scrolling through the TEA member directory, and I'm like, there's people in Indiana doing like states you like places you never would think of that are vendors and technical vendors or prop vendors or show set design vendors. They're kind of you just gotta. I think Animax Designs, which does like 50-60% of like animatronics for theme parks, they're in Nashville, Tennessee. I think somewhere in Tennessee, but
like that, yeah.
not in Orlando. Not in LA. So you just kind of got to look where you're at. If you're at a school that's outside of Orlando and you're disheartened about that, take a look around. You might be surprised what you find.
Yeah.
Sid?
Okay. I wish I knew this in undergrad, that there was even an option for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through school thinking it was this or that, and that's as far as it went. And it's more than just roller coasters, too. I mean,
Sure.
it's casinos, it's hotels. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this kind of degree. Like, you're not limiting yourself, you're actually expanding so much more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Next question. I'm calling this is from the last episode, verbatim. It's called What You Working With. And I want to know, Alex like lunged back in her seat. What you working with? What is your favorite software that you're using to design projects in right now? You boot it up. You're excited to start creating in the software. What is that?
I have two. I'm going to cheat. Honestly, like first and foremost is Photoshop, because I'm a painter, I'm a drawer, I'm an illustrator. So Photoshop gives me that opportunity to create in the way that comes natural to me. And in addition to that, I really loved Maya.
Mm-hmm.
Like as difficult as it was, and it made me want to pull my hair out, and it's so stressful, but it's incredible what you can do in that program.
Yeah.
I really love it for creating. So Photoshop and Maya are my go-tos for sure.
And speaking as someone who has worked in the industry, how often are those used?
Oh, Photoshop is used like all day, every day. It's
Staple.
just standard. You should know at least a little bit of Photoshop, no matter who you are. Maya is definitely more of a specialty for like attraction designers or even for film. Like that's, what they make movies with mostly. Animated movies, Maya. But it's used, it's more of a specialty, but it's definitely used. I've encountered both of those programs on a regular basis at work.
Yeah. Sydney?
I would have to say I honestly hated Maya. It was so difficult. I would have to say SketchUp was a huge one. Yeah, even though we haven't learned it like in our program, SketchUp I feel like is a basic you should know no matter what.
Yeah.
And then I agree with the Photoshop, but I'm also really liking Vectorworks. That's our elective that we're taking, and I'm surprising how great it is for 2D and 3D.
Yeah.
So I'm really liking that right now.
My answer from last week still applies. After Effects. Next question. This is another new one. What is your favorite project that you've worked on so far in this program? It's only been a year, but
I'd have to say the Imaginations was probably my favorite.
The first thing that we did, essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so great just collaborating with everyone, and I think ours turned out amazing. Our project was so great, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved working on the Imaginations project. I think mostly because of working with Sydney and our other teammate Jordan. Like we were a freaking dream team.
Yeah.
Like it was so much fun. It was, so collaborative, and we really like our skills really meshed well together, and it was a great experience overall. But personally, my favorite project so far has probably been our small project studio final, because I designed Zelda theme carts.
They're
Cool.
so good.
Zelda themed food carts. So there was a forest one, a Goron Fire one and a Zora ice cream one, because the Zoras are always frozen. But that one was really fun because I just got to like put my favorite thing and like all this passion I have for the Zelda franchise into a super fun project, and it was a lot of Photoshop. So that was my favorite so far.
Yeah, those designs were like you
amazing.
put those up, and I was like, that's great. All right, last question. What is your favorite resource to learn about themed experiences? Book, website, podcast.
That's a tough
That
one.
is a tough one.
I'm just so, like, I'm not a research person.
Yeah.
I feel like I just
Not even research. So I'll give you some pretext. What Jordan and David said. So Jordan said the Designing Disney book, because I think he sleeps with that book. David said YouTube. After he said me, he said, Carson, you're my favorite resource. And I was like on the verge of tears. But then he said YouTube, because for him, YouTube was a tool to like watch a ride through video, any ride, anywhere, anything, anywhere, and then take inspiration from that video for his projects.
So along those lines, I would probably say, like, as weird as this sounds, LinkedIn is an amazing resource.
Yeah.
Because you can actually connect with industry professionals on there, and you don't have to have any pretense or context or like real connection to the industry at all. It's just if you're interested in it, you send a connection request. Most people accept it. You can follow companies in your feed. So like you can follow Animax and Falcons Creative and any kind of like cool vendor that's making theme park stuff. You can follow the theme parks themselves, and you can just kind of immerse yourself in the industry and what people are doing. And you can also share your work and put it out there with other industry professionals. So it's like, it's an amazing networking resource where you can see what other people and companies are doing. And then it's also got LinkedIn Learning. So, you know, right there, you can go learn SketchUp or Photoshop or whatever on your own time. So I think that's kind of like a first person resource where you can really get connected, literally, you know, with the industry.
If you're not on LinkedIn, go right now and please make a LinkedIn profile. It is invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got it. So as someone who doesn't know the theme park industry as well, Instagram has been a huge resource for me, surprisingly, because they're constantly posting things on there. It's not so much on the like business side, but I learned a lot about theme parks in general through Instagram, because it's more photos and descriptions and then links to, you know, the articles and everything about that, which really honestly surprised me because you wouldn't expect that. But there is a huge industry for Instagram and the theme parks. I was shocked that so many people are going to theme parks and documenting new rides, new retail stuff that comes out. And it's honestly really surprising to me. And LinkedIn, I think, is probably another really big one.
Yeah.
Follow at Theme Park Podcast on Instagram. That's all I have for you guys. New rule of the podcast: if it becomes 11 p.m., we stop. So it's 11 p.m. right now, so I'm good to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Episode 2 in the bag.
Thanks for having
us.
us.
Is it as good as the first episode?
I didn't listen to the first episode
yet.
I got to catch up. I'm so sorry.
And you just talked about how much you loved working with Jordan, how amazing Jordan is.
I know. I need to listen to the podcast. I'm just busy with grad school and working full time, Carson.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But yeah, thank you guys so much again. Appreciate it. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast. Have a question about the podcast or themed experience in general? Be sure to reach out to us at themeparkschoolpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Theme Park School Podcast for book recommendations, helpful resources, and more. Theme Park School, a themed experience educational podcast, is not affiliated with any theme park, design firm, university, or trade organization. Views expressed are those of the host and the guests.